Hello and welcome to Gus McDoll Strategy and Tactics, and thank you to our subscribers. I'm Nick McDoll. Today we're continuing the Allied Grand Campaign in Close Combat: A Bridge Too Far, a game based on the Battle of Arnhem, Operation Marketgarden. In this series, we use the missions in the Allied Grand Campaign to illustrate one or more aspects of World War II infantry tactics at the company level and below. Each episode we conduct basic mission analysis, develop and analyse possible courses of action, then decide and execute the plan in real time, followed by lessons learned. Please remember to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And if you want to buy me a coffee, the links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. In this episode we're in the Nijmegen sector, in the island area of operations. Our objective is the Tulip Fields. It is day 4 of Operation Marketgarden, 1600 hours on 20 September 1944. Tulip Fields. This is the last step in reaching the airborne troops in the Arnhem area. Airborne forces were unable to clear the path, but 30 Corps has arrived. Your tanks will be vulnerable because you must move them down the raised road. The surrounding polder will not support their weight. This is the big chance to get to Arnhem. You have large forces at your command, so push hard. The enemy is strong as well, but with a little luck and hard fighting, you can still take the last bridge and win. Let's examine our forces. Rifle teams use bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. The team leader is armed with a submachine gun. Use rifle teams on the front lines and to hold victory locations. They are useless against tanks. Bren teams are the core of the British Army. They use a light machine gun, bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. Use them on the front lines, but they should run or hide from tanks. Recon teams are the eyes and ears of the British airborne divisions. They are armed with submachine guns and grenades. Use them to scout enemy positions and to perform behind-the-lines operations. The Sherman 76 is an upgunned M4A1 Sherman. The M4A3 has a 76mm main gun and two 30 caliber machine guns. Use it to destroy light and medium tanks, infantry and enemy strongholds. The Achilles is a medium tank destroyer. It is open-topped and armed with a 3-inch anti-tank gun and a 50 caliber machine gun. Use it in an ambush role against German tanks. Achilles is the British name for the American M10. 3-inch medium mortar teams also contain bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. Because mortars can shoot over obstacles, position these teams behind buildings or trees. Use them to suppress enemy infantry and lay smoke screens. Vickers medium machine gun teams also include bolt-action rifles and hand grenades. Position these teams in multi-story buildings or locations with long lines of sight so they can suppress enemy infantry while your units maneuver. Next, let's look at the map and do some mission analysis. I will develop a plan and then execute it in the game. Our mission is to clear the road to Arnhem in order to relieve the British 1st Airborne at Arnhem Bridge. We have a mixed force of infantry and tanks from 30 Corps consisting of 4 rifle sections, 2 Bren sections and a recon section, with 2 Sherman 76 tanks, an Achilles tank destroyer, a 3-inch mortar and a Vickers medium machine gun in support. North is to the top left side of the map. The area is bisected by an elevated road running roughly north-south. This limits observation from one side to the other. Polder fields, muddy ground, are to the east and west of the road with single and multi-story buildings scattered about. I have marked 6 areas. Number 1. British forces are clustered around a 2-story stone building west of the road. This area has limited observation with woods less than 100 yards to the north and the elevated road to the east. The building provides fields of fire in the immediate area and cover from direct and indirect fire. Number 2. East of the road, an area of open polder fields bisected by drainage ditches. The ditches are natural trench lines providing concealed approaches close to the road and cover for infantry against direct fire weapons. The buildings also provide cover and concealment for infantry and anti-tank units, particularly the single-story stone machine shed building. The waterlogged polder itself is an obstacle to vehicle movement, and tanks will soon bog down once off the road. We occupy a 3-story building to the south that has excellent observation and long fields of fire over this area. Number 3. West of the road, a single-story wooden farm building surrounded by trees and drainage ditches, the Petal Press. This forms a natural line of resistance against dismounted movement west of the road. Its proximity to the road also makes it a potential short-range anti-tank ambush location. Number 4, west of the road, Santes, a clump of 2- and 3-story wooden buildings. These buildings overlook the adjacent fields and the road. The buildings themselves provide some cover and excellent concealment. This area would make an ideal defensive position for infantry and anti-tank guns in multiple strongpoints. Forces in each building could provide mutual support to forces in the other buildings and overlapping fields of fire. Number 5, a 3-story wooden building nestled between ditches and a stand of trees. This building provides excellent observation to the south and over the road to the east. With a field of fire out to the road, this would make a good anti-tank gun position or a machine gun or headquarters position. And number 6, the prize, the road to Arnhem, a single-lane road barely wide enough for one tank, impassable terrain either side, and exposed to fire from both sides. Key terrain are the buildings either side of the road, with the road being decisive terrain as it offers the only avenue of approach to Arnhem. The road north to Arnhem was nicknamed Hell's Highway, and I hope this illustrates why. This narrow route from Eindhoven through Nijmegen to Arnhem is easily interdicted from concealed ambush positions on both sides, with limited opportunity for vehicle manoeuvre to the flanks. How on earth am I supposed to put an armoured corps up this road? I've marked out the likely engagement areas along the road and possible anti-tank attack by fire positions. The enemy could be in any or all of these positions. The enemy could use single-shot Panzerfaust, Panzerschreck rockets, or Panzerabwehrkanonen such as PaK 5cm or 7.5cm or 8.8cm anti-tank guns. They are likely to remain concealed and attack when the tanks present their flanks. This area stands between 30 Corps and the relief of the British airborne holding Arnhem Bridge. I assess the enemy will place a high priority on denying use of this road in order to delay the relief of Arnhem. This could be a tough fight. The US airborne, fresh from taking Nijmegen Bridge in an opposed daylight river crossing, might imagine the British tankers at headquarters are just sitting around drinking tea. Well, to be fair, maybe they are. But they are also planning how they will tackle this difficult stretch of road ahead. In the meantime, they have formed a defensive position centred on the 2-story stone building. Company headquarters is in the building with the Vickers medium machine gun watching over nearby fields. The remaining support assets, being the 2 Shermans, the Achilles and the mortar, are taking advantage of the cover afforded by the stone building and remain concealed. The Bren section on the left flank watches the field to the north, and the Bren section on the right flank, in the 3-story building on the other side of the road, watches over the polder fields to the northeast. The remaining rifle sections form the defensive perimeter. I have 2 infantry platoons and an understrength tank troop, but the tankers have learned the lessons from the tank ambush at Valkensvoort, namely the importance of getting infantry to protect the flanks of the tank movement in this kind of terrain. So, 1st Platoon will clear the buildings and possible ambush positions west of the road. 2nd Platoon will hold position and observe to the east of the road. They will suppress any enemy forces in this area and deny their freedom of movement. If necessary, 2nd Platoon will move forward to clear the buildings here. Once the positions are clear, A Troop will advance along the road to Arnhem. You'll notice here that I've used historical World War II British military symbols for these infantry and tank units. The empty rectangle denotes a platoon-size unit, with the type being indicated by the symbol on the top left, a line for rifles, and a box and line for tanks. It may sometimes be advisable for the infantry advance to start before the tanker tank is actually launched, so that the infantry can work forward to suitable positions within striking distance of the objective. Such action may also serve to cover the advance of the tanks. If this method is adopted, sufficient covering fire for the infantry must be provided to make its advance feasible. I have now moved my troops into position and will execute the plan in real time. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the various courses of action, and if you have identified a viable alternative. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more great strategy and tactics content. And so we begin. Incoming! Our mortar opens a fire mission on infantry in the open, in the right flank. Robin's Sherman and the Bren from 1st Platoon open up on an MG42 that has infiltrated the company position. Newt's Sherman joins in. There is a Sturmgrenadier squad behind them. The MG42 is eliminated, but the Germans are putting heavy pressure on me from the outset. Fire switches to the Sturmgrenadier squad. There are also troops in the petal press. 2nd Platoon identifies a 5cm Panzerabwehrkanone anti-tank gun next to the machine shed. A Panzerfaust is fired from the machine shed. Finley's Bren opens up on the troops in the open. An MG42 is moving up, and there is a Fallschirmjäger heavy machine gun in the petal press. A Panzerfaust. 3 anti-tank weapons so far. I am pinning down a platoon on my left flank, but there is another moving up to my front and one to my right across the road, including a squad using a ditch as a trench. The enemy soldiers on the right have moved into cover. The mortar switches fire to the anti-tank gun. 2nd Platoon's Bren under Sergeant Finley targets the Schutzen in the ditch. On the left, the Sturmgrenadier squad is almost eliminated. Another rocket launches from the woods to my immediate front. It is targeting Finley's Bren. I identify it as a Panzerschreck team. A squad is pushing forward in the woods in the centre. And on my left flank, a Schutzen squad using a ditch as a trench line has suffered heavy casualties. 1st Platoon cautiously advances into the woods to keep the infantry away from A Troop's tanks. Finley's Bren targets the Panzerschreck. The Panzerschreck is firing at the infantry, but at least it is not firing at the tanks.
Heavy fire.
On the right flank, the Schutzen in the ditch displace over open ground towards the machine shed. Yes! A round from the 3-inch mortar eliminates the 5cm anti-tank gun. This was a serious threat to my advance. 2nd Platoon and Newt's Sherman now concentrate fire on the Schutzen in the open. First Platoon targets the Panzerschreck in the woods. I do not want them getting line of sight on Newt's Sherman. The Panzerschreck squad is destroyed. 1st Platoon continues to press forward into the woods. Robin's Sherman spots and targets an MG42 in depth.
Target eliminated.
The Schutzen squad in the open in front of 2nd Platoon is eliminated. The mortar switches fire to an MG42 in the petal press.
We're under heavy fire. We're pinned down.
The Vickers switches targets but is pinned down. Newt's Sherman looks for a target.
We're pinned down. We're pinned down.
Meanwhile, 1st Platoon is pinned down by a Schutzen squad in the woods to the front of the British position.
We're pinned down.
Lieutenant Bennick decides to break the deadlock in the woods and moves his team forward to recapture the initiative for 1st Platoon. Another enemy is eliminated, the Fallschirmjäger machine gun squad in the petal press. The 3-inch mortar brings in its fire into the woods, very close to friendly troops. The last round causes a casualty.
Hol mich hier raus!
You're mad.
Hol mich hier raus!
The Schutzen squad in the woods is feeling the pressure and starts to fall back. A grenade duel, and 1st Platoon takes another casualty, Lance Corporal Clay.
Hol mich hier raus!
We're pinned down.
Pick up your weapon.
The Germans start firing mortars at 2nd Platoon.
Unter Beschuss!
On the left flank, the Germans have lost a Sturmgrenadier squad,
Move completed.
an MG42, and a Schutzen squad. In the centre, the depleted Schutzen squad still holds the woods, but the Germans have lost an MG42. On the right, the Germans have lost a Schutzen squad and a Pak 5cm anti-tank gun, but they still have a Schutzen squad in the wooden building, and troops in the machine shed. Time for 2nd Platoon to counterattack. The mortar opens a smoke mission to screen the attack. Time also for A Troop, and Disraeli in the Achilles heads for the road.
Das Blut!
In the woods, Lieutenant Bennick and 1st Platoon have a close-range grenade duel with the remaining Schutzen. Smoke down, and 2nd Platoon moves out. In the Germans' rear is a reserve squad and a Granatwerfer mortar. The tanks open fire on the reserve squad.
Hol mich hier raus! Das Blut! Das Blut! Das Blut! Hol mich hier raus! Das Blut!
First platoon moves forward.
Das Blut! Hol mich hier raus!
Newt's Sherman begins to crawl down the road.
Move completed.
Corporal Hughes' rifle section is advancing, but in the wrong direction.
Hol mich hier raus!
A rocket is fired at the recon team from 2nd platoon, but misses. More casualties in 1st platoon.
Blut!
Move completed.
Robin's Sherman moves out.
Das Blut!
A German in the woods surrenders. Time to press forward. Newt's Sherman targets the wooden building on the right flank. Rocket! Oh no! Newt's Sherman is knocked out by a Panzerschreck from 100 yards away, the very outcome I wanted to avoid.
Secure the area.
Area secured.
The recon team wipes out the Panzerschreck and secures the machine shed objective.
Move completed.
Seconds too late. The Achilles presses forward.
Move completed.
First platoon moves up to the pedal press.
Area secured.
They secure the objective.
Move completed.
Tank! A Mark IV Panzer. The Germans have committed their reserve.
Move completed.
Robin's Sherman moves up to the road to reinforce. The Achilles does not have the shot.
Entdeckung! Unter Beschuss!
Move completed.
The 50 caliber on the Achilles reaches out and touches the Schutzen in the wooden building on the right flank.
Move completed.
The Panzer returns the compliment against 2nd platoon.
In position.
The Granatwerfer's position is revealed. along with another MG42. I am now fighting the German backline support troops.
Hol mich hier raus!
Still no line of sight to the Panzer. A shell from the Panzer causes heavy casualties in 1st Platoon, including Lieutenant Bennick. 1st Platoon goes to ground in the pedal press. Second Platoon moves forward. A troop starts to advance. As does 1st Platoon.
Move completed.
The tanks try to advance, but can't get past the knocked out Sherman blocking the road.
Target eliminated.
Sustained fire from the Vickers eliminates the last Schützen squad on the right.
Move completed. Move completed.
1st Platoon has taken heavy casualties, but still has the initiative. They are now in the Santes complex. It looks like the Mark IV Panzer has bogged in a ditch.
Move completed.
Both tanks have moved off-road to get past the knocked out Sherman. They risk getting bogged down in the polder, but they need to move forward and get back into the fight. The mortar uses its last remaining smoke rounds to blind the Panzer while the tanks move.
Auf die Beine!
completed.
Success! The Sherman is back on the road. The battlefield goes quiet. The Sherman continues up the road.
Move completed.
Nimm deine Waffe.
Move completed. Move completed.
The Achilles is almost back on the road.
Move completed. Move completed.
First platoon gets into a fight with the Granatwerfer.
They are being eliminated.
The battle ended because the Germans were routed from the map. The Allies gained control of the area and will advance. The German forces took excessive losses. I made Allied progress of 30 against expected progress of 0. I suffered 17 KIA and lost a Sherman tank. Tough fighting and heavy losses. The enemy suffered 54 KIA, 4 MIA and a 5cm Panzerabwehrkanone destroyed. Even in the defence, the Germans suffered more than 3 times as many casualties as the British. 2 Distinguished Conduct Medals were awarded. I want to maintain momentum on the push to Arnhem and select a 1-hour ceasefire period. Let's examine casualties on both sides. First, the British from 30 Corps. Heavy casualties across the Rifle Company. Trooper Bray in the Sherman accounts for 13 enemy and is awarded a Distinguished Conduct Medal. The mortar knocked out the enemy anti-tank gun, and Private Russell is also awarded a Distinguished Conduct Medal. Then the Germans from the 10th Panzer Division. A Sturmgrenadier squad, 3 MG42, 4 Schützen squads, a reserve squad, a Mark IV Panzer surrendered after causing half my casualties, a Fallschirmjäger Schweres Maschinengewehr paratroop heavy machine gun squad, a 5cm PaK 3536, a Fallschirmjäger Granatwerfer paratroop mortar squad, and 2 Panzerschreck squads. Cossatz knocked out the Sherman and is posthumously awarded the Assault Badge. So, what did we learn? That is why it was called Hell's Highway, a single road with multiple possible anti-tank attack by fire positions on either side. the Germans layered their anti-tank assets with multiple squads and platforms on both sides of the road. Despite my caution in not deploying the tanks forward until the infantry had cleared their flanks, the Germans still managed to knock out a Sherman tank. The big mistake that cost the Germans the battle was the strange deployment of the Sturmgrenadier squad and MG42 squad in the open on my left flank. They were promptly wiped out. If they had kept these squads as a depth position in the Santes buildings, 1st Platoon on the left would not have been able to push past the petal press. 2nd Platoon would not have had the combat power to outflank them on the right, and I would not have exposed the tanks in the centre. So, the battle would have resulted in a ceasefire, and the Germans would have succeeded in imposing delay. Second, the knocked-out Sherman on the narrow road also created an effective obstacle to the forward movement of the rest of A Troop. The Sherman and Achilles had to risk getting bogged down in the soft boulder on the side of the road in order to advance. Until that tank hulk is moved, every vehicle in 30 Corps will face the same dilemma. This illustrates the challenge the Allies faced in advancing a corps-sized formation comprising hundreds of vehicles up a narrow road subject to constant attack on their front and flanks. Every knocked-out vehicle slows the whole formation, imposes delay, and reduces the chances of a timely relief in place of the British at Arnhem. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and donate, and stay tuned for the next episode.